That made him go back. She said, if you don't like her, you don't have to marry her. So my brother went back and he wired my mother a telephone that he does not want to marry this girl.
Who, Peso?
Yes, he didn't want to marry Peso. And my mother said, well, he said, stay a few days and see what happens. And my brother hung around, and Peso was very insistent at getting married right away. And Irving wired my mother that he's not going to marry that girl. So my mother said, okay, come back. Don't marry her. So while all this was going on, Pastor found out, Irving told her he didn't want to marry her. She said, if you don't marry me, I'll commit suicide.
Right.
Well, you know, he wasn't experienced.
It was a different time.
He believed her, and he didn't want that to happen.
So he married her. So he married her there, or he brought her back to America and they got married in America?
No, there.
In Poland?
Yeah, she wanted it that way. Yeah. She didn't trust him. They got married in Poland.
Did she get along well with your parents, with Grandma and Grandpa? Did they
She
really
get
like
along.
her?
She hated my parents and they hated her.
But your mother too?
Yeah. After when all this was going on, my mother felt terrible that she made my brother marry her.
What was your feeling about her? Did you have?
Well, I was very young, and I really didn't know much about these things. I was young, but I felt very bad for my brother because he was extremely unhappy.
Even when he came back with her,
Yeah,
he was unhappy?
Very unhappy man.
So do you think eventually they got along well?
Oh, I know what happened later, but much, much later. But at first, she had twins right away.
So,
A set of twins.
Cindy and Stanley.
And she moved in the apartment downstairs from us. Somebody else moved out, and she moved there.
Wasn't she across the street? That was
That
later
was
on, after the other
much
twins
later,
came.
much later. She had her twins, and we did everything for her, especially my sister Rose, Frida when she got here. I helped a lot with the twins because I loved them, and I babysat for them, and I took them for walks. And what else? Oh, and then she had another set of twins. But all the time, my brother was the most unhappy man. And they moved out.
That was before she had the other set.
Yeah, before they moved out into a very nice, beautiful, spacious apartment. We lived on 52nd, she moved to 56th Street.
No,
Oh, wait a minute.
16th Avenue between
Oh.
50, near 53rd Street.
Sounds
Above
like
the
almost
stores.
across the street or
No, it was down 1 block away
No,
and
about 2
upstairs.
blocks away,
Yeah.
yeah. About 2 blocks away, right. And she got very jealous. Now my brother, after work, he liked to stop in to say hello to my mother, my father, and she didn't want that. She said, you have to come home to me, not to your mother, my father. So he started doing it secretly, and she found out that that was going on, so she forbid him. And my brother stopped. He stopped coming.
Did your mother ever have an abortion?
Well, we're
You went
on a
past that?
different subject
No,
now.
you gotta get to that one. Because you were little. And didn't you have a brother that died in Europe?
But we're not talking about Europe.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I
Stay
mean,
with the
You
program.
gotta go back. We're talking about the United
Focus.
States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually better not to jump completely because it is confusing, I think.
If you wanna go back when we finish with this subject, you
Mhm.
can go back. But I know I told you all that.
Yeah, we did
That
talk
we
about it.
already
We did
Yeah,
talk
we
about
did.
that.
We
Yeah,
spoke
we did.
about that
Yeah.
already.
we did.
So what was I talking about that?
Uncle
You-
Irving.
Oh yeah, of course. He stopped seeing my mother, my father. Okay.
So when
And-
I was trying to think of when Stevie and Stanley were born, that was already, trying to think when that was, because they were about my age, maybe just a little older than me, right?
Who?
Stevie and Stanley.
When?
Yeah, they were about maybe a year and a half, 2 years older than me.
They were older, just 2.5, yeah.
Maybe
so,
2 years
yeah,
older
so
than
they
me,
were,
yeah.
so they were my age. So that was still, so they were born, that was around 1930, around
Probably in the-
maybe 1933 or something like that.
And
Yeah.
then, I think 5 years later, the other twins came.
It was, yeah, maybe even later than that. This is when
So-
we were here.
What happened to all these cousins?
Oh well, as far they're still around. As far as I know, there's one cousin that I was in touch with.
Which one?
Well, a long time ago, it's about
Stevie.
From the
Stanley.
twins.
Stanley, not Stevie. Stevie had,
Severe stuttering problem.
they both did.
Yeah.
And your father used to take them.
To a place that made them feel worse, but and they didn't help.
And they both went to the yeshiva.
Was that even as children, when they were very young, they both had the bad speech problem?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I think it came from the mother.
But my brother Irving had a slight stuttering problem. Irving did, and so did his wife Pestle. They both had a stuttering problem.
So I just want to go back to talk a little bit more about your experiences in Brooklyn. So you're 14, 15 years old.
14 when I came.
14 years old when you came, and you went to kindergarten for a short time to
A
learn
very
English.
short time, because as soon as I got to learn the language, they promoted me.
So where did you go? So you went to a school with kids your age after that?
Yeah,
Do you remember the school?
I went to a public school.
Uh-huh.
Well, that the other most.
Are you talking about junior high?
Or
Or
high
public?
school? High
No,
school.
it was
PS
before.
180?
Yeah, I went to PS 180.
Me too.
And did you like it? Did you like being in the
Yes,
school?
very
Yeah?
much. Everything, yeah, they were all the time very
And then-
wonderful to me in
And
school.
so did you.
After my terrible experiences in Poland with the schools, this was heaven.
So you didn't have any problem learning English, really?
No, I learned English very easily.
And what did you speak? What did they speak at home?
In my house,
Yeah,
Yiddish.
Yiddish, not English.
No.
So
Well, they didn't know enough English.
Right. So I'm just trying to think of it like today, you know, with what they say about immersion and all these kind of things. So even though your parents didn't speak English at home,
They
you
spoke whatever they knew, a few words.
yeah, but you had no problem learning English, just being thrown into a different
I
language.
learned very quickly.
You had to learn English
Yeah.
when you came here.
But I was young. I was little. I was 5.
Yeah.
So Celia, tell us a little bit more about the neighborhood that you were living in Brooklyn. Do you remember
In
the
Brooklyn?
neighborhood? And when you were at that age, when you first moved into Brooklyn, do you
Lots
remember the
of
neighborhood?
friends, yeah.
Can you describe the neighborhood, the houses and the stores, and what
They
was it
were
like?
very typical walk-ups.
Mhm.
A stoop. Everybody had a stoop.
Mm.
And the rooms were small. But the neighbors were wonderful. We had the most wonderful neighbors.
Were you on a corner?
The house?
Yeah.
No, second from the corner.
Was it?
There was a store first, then the house, and then our house.
What do you remember about your neighbors?
About my neighbors?
Uh,
Oh, just great. I learned to cook from them, from my neighbors.
So not from your mother?
No,
Was she cooking by then?
my mother was cooking, but very little.
So who fed the family when they
My sisters, Frida and Rose,
they did the cooking?
they did the cooking.
But did they learn to cook in America? Because they
No, they did a cooking in Poland.
already in Poland.
Yeah, they know how to cook. But, yeah, and there was a bakery next door to us.
a Jewish bakery or
Are you talking about in the apartment or in the house?
No, when I owned my house, you mean on 50,
2nd Street?
well, my father,
Right, right.
50 Road, my father's house. What did you ask me?
you said you were talking about a bakery? There was a bakery?
No,
That's a different
No,
place.
that's a different.
So the neighbors who taught you to cook, they were Jewish?
Yes.
Was it a Jewish
When
family?
I moved to my own apartment on 70th Street.
Ah,
That's later.
that's when there was
Yeah.
a bakery. Okay.
Yeah.
That's when you learned how to get married. I mean, to how to cook after you were married?
From my neighbors.
Really?
From my neighbors.
But Danny asked you about being a teenager, and what did you remember about being a young girl, the neighborhood when you were young, and what did you do on the weekends when
Like
you were
when you-
16
yeah.
or
Oh,
yeah.
17?
Okay. Friends. I had a lot of friends.
Mhm.
Italian friends
Italian friends.
that I hung out with, and
Where'd you hang out?
their homes, my house,
Did your parents?
to the park we went.
Not New York, not Manhattan.
No,
In
No.
Brooklyn.
this was in Brooklyn.
Did you have boyfriends at that age?
I had one boyfriend when I moved into the house in Brooklyn. That guy where I went to sleep, where I slept, he was my boyfriend. He got to be my boyfriend. I tell you, his mother let me sleep on his bed. This is in Brooklyn.
And what did your parents think about that?
No, that's when they first
Oh, they
came here.
didn't take
well,
it
if they were
seriously.
boyfriend, I mean, in
Didn't
those,
mean anything to them.
Did they like him?
No, they never liked
What
him.
was his name?
Izzy.
He
They
was your
never
age?
liked-
He was, Izzy was older than I, about 2 years older. Yeah. No,
He's
they never
got
liked
one
him. I don't remember why. They never liked him.
So did they let him come to the house to
Well,
visit you?
Yeah, they didn't take the thing seriously. It was just a friend.
This would have been during the Depression, right? Was this during the Depression that you
The
were
Depression was in 1929
through? So,
or
yeah,
27.
Depression.
Depression's over.
No,
so
No,
what?
you started.
just started in 29.
Well, they came over.
What year?
Do we remember? Do you remember?
1927 we came
You
over.
came over in 27. So, do you? So you were living in Brooklyn during the Depression.
Yeah.
Do you remember seeing a lot of poverty, a lot of people on the street?
No, I wasn't interested. I just know my father suffering.
How? How did you suffer?
Well, he lost a lot of money. He had a nice saving account, and they paid off very, very little. But devastated. They were devastated.
How did that affect your family? Did you have to move into a smaller place, or did you have less?
No, we had the guy, my father worked for him where we lived in that house. He was very generous. We had no problems.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just that my father lost the money, but we continued living.
So your father had a
Nicely.
savings account in the bank, and when the banks went under, he lost the money. Is
Lost.
that what happened?
Yeah, they gave you back like, I don't